Hi everyone, welcome to this webinar by Artificial Solutions and thanks for taking the time to join us today. We hope that our topic today will be interesting to all of you, especially now that companies are trying to leverage as much information as possible in order to accommodate to the new reality. It's a fact that consumers' habits are changing and being able to capture their insights is not easy, but it is critical. In this webinar, we will look at how analyzing conversational data can help throughout this accommodation process, and in order to do that, I will be walking through some of the main capabilities of our Teneo data suite. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Carmen del Solar, and I am a senior conversational AI engineer at Artificial Solutions. I joined the company in 2011, and I am currently based in Chicago. And also a couple of practical reminders. The webinar is being recorded and it will be shared with everyone after this session. We will also spare a little bit of time at the end for a short Q&A session. And finally, let me also remind you that you can submit your questions as I go through the material, and you can do that just through the BrightTalk interface. So please don't hesitate to do that. Here is a quick overview of the things I will be touching on today. I'll start with an introduction to artificial solutions. I'll follow with some Teneo data concepts and a couple of live demonstrations. And finally, I'll be pointing you to some of the resources you can use to explore and get started with Teneo data. Okay, so let me quickly introduce artificial solutions. As an organization, we are a NASDAQ-listed company with operations across the US, Europe, and Asia, and we focus on a form of AI that is referred to as conversational AI. Basically, CAI allows people to communicate with devices, websites, and applications in a human-like, intelligent, and conversational way across a wide range of channels, platforms, and input modalities. As you can see on this slide, we tend to work with a wide range of companies across the main three geographies in which we operate, and also partner with some of the world's best-known systems integrators. We have chosen to approach the conversational AI challenge by developing a platform that we call Teneo. It is a platform that allows non-specialists with no background in linguistics, natural language processing, machine learning, or data science to quickly build sophisticated chatbots, virtual assistants, or conversational solutions, as well as deploy them in multiple channels and languages. As a matter of fact, we support over 35 languages at the moment. Today, we are going to see a couple of demos based on the data side of Teneo. I am going to show how existing unstructured data can be analyzed to better assess the scope of new conversational AI implementation, and I will also show how to find learnings from digitalized dialogues between customers and bots. Before finishing, I will talk about data privacy and what enterprises need to have in mind when looking at this important aspect. Okay, let's dig into Teneo data then. And just to set the context, when we think about the different profiles involved in an end-to-end conversational AI cycle or journey, we may find that three particular players will stand out: developers, customers, and business users. Now, when asked about what data means to them, these players will most likely respond in different ways. A developer may be concerned about optimization, machine learning intent classifiers, and achieving accuracy. A customer may be thinking about getting a personalized experience, having their data stored securely, or engaging with an empathetic VA. Finally, a business user may think about data as the answer to be able to react to customers' insights in real time, achieving very specific KPIs, or being able to monitor customers' trends, among many other things. With the Teneo data suite, we provide a collection of highly capable tools and proven processes to enable enterprises and help them get the most out of their conversational data, allowing them to achieve all of these goals easily. With that said, I will explain now the role that is played by Teneo data in the full life cycle of a conversational AI application. So, as we can see here, the Teneo data suite encompasses 4 other different Teneo components. Developers use Teneo Discovery to analyze and understand free-format unstructured conversational data, which becomes a rich source of knowledge to drive our highly effective data-driven implementation methodology. And we will be seeing a little bit of that in a few moments. Exploring unstructured data in Teneo Discovery allows us to scope and create the foundation of a solution in Teneo Studio. Teneo Studio is our development environment where solutions are designed, built, and maintained. When a solution is built and tested, it gets deployed, and a Teneo interaction engine endpoint is created. It is through this Teneo engine endpoint that customers interact with our CAI applications and generate conversational data. This data is collected in real time and stored in Teneo Inquire, which is a repository that holds our data safely and feeds it back into Teneo Studio for personalization and machine learning optimization purposes. Now, Teneo Inquire also comes with an analytics API that will make your data available to any business intelligence tool of your choice, allowing for thorough statistical data analysis and visualizations through dashboards, reports, etc. Queries sent to Teneo Inquire are built using our Teneo Query Language, or TQL. With the Teneo query language, you can access and funnel all that conversational data into your BI tools, allowing you to create custom metrics, KPIs, and basically to meet any reporting requirements you may have. The same Teneo Inquire API allows for raw data extraction. And once extracted, these raw datasets can again be explored in detail using Teneo Discovery. These raw datasets, like safety net inputs, for example, at this stage of the CAI lifecycle, would allow us to detect voice of customer insights, troubleshoot issues, identify new trends, etc. I really want for all of these components to be clearly anchored to the Teneo data lifecycle, so I'll very briefly touch on each one of them individually so that anyone looking to get a clear understanding can come back and revisit the main capabilities of each one of these tools at ease. We'll start with the Teneo Discovery, which allows you to ingest large amounts of unstructured data, produce structured datasets, pre-classify intents, visualize relevant entities, learn about your customer's sentiment, create data-driven designs and prototypes, identify issues, new trends, and much more. And it's a tool that gets used during project scoping and solution implementation. Next is Teneo Studio. Very briefly, Teneo Studio is our development IDE and will allow you to build flows, create custom entities, use off-the-shelf Teneo libraries, work with your machine learning model, test your solution, publish your solution, access conversational data logs, and it is also used during project implementation and solution implementation. Now, let's move on to the first of our demos today. The scenario I want to demonstrate is precisely the one you see described here. We have Charles, our conversational AI developer. He's trying to work with a collection of unstructured utterances that a new client, an airline called Carmen, has just shared. And his objectives are to scope most relevant topics, identify solution design hotspots, and create the foundation for the machine learning model. So let's dig into this demo now. Okay, so here is the Carry Me dataset that Charles needs to analyze. It's a collection of approximately 60,000 customer utterances. And here is Teneo Discovery. We have ingested that dataset into the tool, and what we see here is the result of that automated text analysis that Teneo Discovery has done for us. Now, when working with Discovery, it is very important to bear in mind that there are basically two different dimensions to our analysis. So we have the concepts and associations view on the one hand, and we have categories on the other hand. Concepts are lexical items co-occurring together. So That is to say, most prominent collocations in our dataset are highlighted to us. They are arranged per the relevance within the dataset. So for instance, we can see the different scores for all of these concepts. We can see that ticket is present in about 9% of the inputs. Seat is present in about 5% of the inputs, and so forth. If I click on luggage, for instance, I will see all the inputs containing that word or any related synonym. You can see here synonyms like baggage, luggage, and even typos. And this kind of analysis is possible because Discovery works with our off-the-shelf lexical resources. Now, associations show concepts that are frequently found together in the same utterance. They may be far apart in the utterance, but they frequently coexist. So when people say the verb talk, they frequently mention live agent as well. When they say change, ticket is likely to be part of their question. And we can see these requests by clicking on this tile. We can say things, how can I change my ticket? Can I change my ticket even with typos, etc. The way concepts and associations are unveiled relies on a unified approach that uses both underlying built-in text mining algorithms and our off-the-shelf Teneo lexical resources. So that's why synonyms, just like in the luggage example, that's why synonyms are bundled together. There's always a linguistic aspect to the dimension of concepts and associations. And the reason why this is important is because it allows us to process unstructured data not only in English, but in any of the plus 35 languages that we support. And that's extremely powerful. With these concepts and associations view, we also get insights about part of a speech. So for instance, I could filter here and search for verbs or maybe nouns. We can easily identify out-of-vocabulary terms and detect frequent typos. So I can show this table here. And we can see out-of-vocabulary terms, typos, and other alphanumeric sequences. So out-of-vocabulary items are words or terminology that don't belong to our English lexicon. That typically includes domain or customer specific terminology. This is extremely valuable information because it allows us to make sure that our assistant is going to be able to understand all of this terminology. In addition to out-of-vocabulary items, we can get an overview of the most frequent typos present in our dataset and also other alphanumeric patterns. So this may also be helpful in terms of capturing unexpected information provided by users, like for instance, passwords. Okay, so let me close this. In addition to everything we've seen, with Discovery we can also, let me remove this filter, we can also identify entities. So let me just focus on the location entity. And we can see how we have had discovery identify specific locations matching this location entity for us. So we have Washington, Seattle, Munich, Bristol. All of those have been captured by matching our pre-built location entity. Now I'm going to remove that filter again. We can also take a look at sentiment. So we could, for instance, try to identify the concepts with the most negative information. So let me focus on all items. And we can see things here like, for instance, can't find, haven't received. If we click, we can get direct access to the inputs with negative sentiment from the customers. So for example, gold card not received. And so for me, in a nutshell, it's basically like you have a natural language understanding pipeline with a visual interface working on your data and surfacing the main information for you. But as I said, there is a second dimension that applies to automated categorization and which relies on one of these two options. Either built-in topic modeling algorithms, so Discovery provides these algorithms, or any external machine learning model you may have already previously implemented. So you can decide to have Discovery classify your data with the built-in algorithms or with any custom machine learning model that you may have. I show you the settings for this analysis where we are using a custom Teneo machine learning model. You can see it here. It's called Carmen Airlines classes, and we have set a minimum confidence of 0.50. These categories that we see here are therefore the predictions of that custom machine learning model. We can export these categories in several different formats. So we could, for instance, choose the Studio Bulk import format if we wanted to import those categories into a flow format in Studio. I'll export these categories in a plain machine learning dataset format so that we can take a quick look at it. So the way we do that is we select machine learning classifier labels here, and we just define a location, select categories, and at this point the file will be created. And so let me open it. And here is the classified dataset with a minimum confidence of 0.50 and all of the classes that we had in our original machine learning custom model. Right, so that was Teneo Discovery and Teneo Studio. Let's move on to Teneo Engine and Inquire. Teneo Engine is, in very simple words, the gateway to the CAI brain, a gateway customers use to interact with our CAI applications. Listed here are some of the things you can achieve with the Teneo Engine, the main one being, in terms of the scope of this webinar, collecting conversational data. Once conversational data enters the scene, Teneo Inquire becomes our star. And why is that? Well, Teneo Inquire stores, holds, protects, feeds back, and exposes the conversational data for your own use. With Teneo, the data always belongs to you. So let's see a couple of short demonstrations to show Teneo Engine and Teneo Inquire in action. We will go through a scenario from the customer's perspective this time. In this case, we will have Carlota. She has a family emergency in Spain and needs to travel there as soon as possible. After making her reservation, she realizes she needs to clarify some details, so she will call Karimi's phone number. And as we can see, as a customer, Carlota will expect Kari to leverage all the info in her Karimi profile in order to make the experience as smooth as possible. So let's see how Kari does in this scenario. Okay.
Hello and welcome. My name is Carrie and I'm here to answer your questions.
I want to travel to Madrid, leaving from Chicago on October 16th and coming back the first Saturday of December.
For €381, Lufthansa offers the cheapest option in economy class between Chicago, ORD and Madrid, MAD, leaving on October 16, 2020 and returning on December 5, 2020.
Is that a good deal?
The average price for a ticket between Chicago and Madrid is €289.69. So consider changing your dates to get a lower price.
And leaving on October 17th?
The cheapest flights in economy class between Chicago, ORD and Madrid, MAD, leaving on October 17, 2020 and returning on December 5, 2020 are offered by United Airlines and cost €257.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you again soon, I hope.
Okay, so let me go back to Studio. I want to go to our optimization section again. This time I'm gonna focus on the log data source or the Inquire repository. We can open the log data viewer here, and I wanted to open a new session viewer tab, and we're gonna query, try to find the dialog that we just had. Okay, should be this one here. We can see I wanted to just spend a minute or two just focusing on the level of detail that we are storing with each one of these conversations. So basically everything that happens between the request, I want to travel to Madrid leaving from Chicago, to the answer that was provided is stored in Teneo Inquire. So from that very moment to the response that we see here. More specifically, I wanted to call everyone's attention on this specific event that we see here. It is an Inquire real-time API call, and this is something we are doing in order to retrieve the average price for the origin destination pairs that the user has asked about. So we see that the average price we got for the first ticket question or request was this one that we see here. Let me very quickly show you how that integration works. So I'll go to resources, and we have this inquire real-time API and get average price, and this returns the average ticket price for the airport fare in a global variable. I'll just open it, and we can see the specific query. So this is Teneo query language, and it basically tries to get the value stored in a session variable called final search, and as long as that variable is not empty. So with this Teneo query language command and a little bit of Groovy code, we can get access to updated prices that real customers have asked previously about, and we can provide that information back to the user. So let me go back to the optimization panel once again, the log data source. So in addition to the session details, we can also send direct commands from here. So let me take a look at final search lookups. So you can see this is the same Teneo query language we just saw in that real-time API integration. If I run it, I'll very likely get all of the searches that have been previously done for all of the users, and all of the details around all of those searches. So quite a lot of information that can be used and fed back into real-time dialogues. Now we can take a very quick look at a simpler Teneo query command. So maybe inputs in other languages. This is another Teneo query language where we are gonna retrieve the user inputs that have a value in a flow variable that's called sLanguage, and as long as the flow language detector flow has been triggered. So if I run this query, we'll get that list of inputs and the associated language. So quite a lot of information that can be obtained through Inquire, as we've just seen. We will now move to our final demo, in which we are going to take a look at what can be done outside Teneo using the Teneo Inquire Analytics API. For that, we will have our business user, Paul, who will show us the custom BI dashboard that he has created. Right, so this is a Teneo Data Power BI dashboard. On this first canvas, he has information about the solution performance, so number of sessions and transactions according to date, most frequently triggered flows, channel usage, and the safety net indicator. Most of these are standard solution KPIs that he needs to track, and I'm just going to show an example of how we can drill down by intent triggered and get insights about kind of utterances that are triggering them. So for instance, if we click on cancellation, we can get a flavor of the kind of inputs that are triggering this intent. Moving on to the second canvas, what we see here, everything revolves around deeper customer insights. So what they complain about, their sentiment, what kind of things they're saying when we don't understand them, and what other languages they are using. Again, we could filter, for instance, and take a look at inputs with negative sentiment, or we could see what kind of utterances users are providing in Spanish, for instance. So again, all of these will help improving the solution according to very specific customers' needs and behaviors. Finally, the third canvas is about the business. So we can see here most frequent origin and destination requests with airlines and prices information. So for instance, if I click on this origin destination pair, London-Barcelona, I can see that there are several airlines offering that flight. If I click on the prices for British Airways, I can see the range. But if I go to Norwegian, we will see that the prices are much lower. So it's understandable their share is a bit larger. We can also see major airlines at play. So again, for instance, if I click on tab Portugal, I'll get to see what kind of origin destination they're offering and the class that people usually travel in with them. For instance, if we click on British Airways, we will see people usually travel business class, and they even accept the offered upsell. And this will help the business understand what kind of global strategies need to be applied. So in sum, with Teneo Inquire, Paul can make sure to get very valuable insights that will help carry me grow closer to their customers. Okay, and with that, the conversational AI data lifecycle would be now closed. Okay, a quick demo recap now. As we just saw, with Teneo data, all of these goals are easily achievable. You can get voice of your customer insights using Teneo Discovery, explore your conversational logs with the Teneo query language, improve the performance of your machine learning model, analyze conversational data through any BI tool of your choice, and access conversational data in real time during a conversation. But also, a very last important point, data privacy. With Teneo, we care about our users' privacy, so there are certain aspects of our Teneo data suite that are definitely worth highlighting today. Data ownership. Clients always own their conversational data, which they can leverage to deliver insights and achieve a competitive edge. Data protection. Teneo is built to ensure enterprises can easily comply with current data protection legislation and security, like GDPR, for instance. User data retrieval or removal. Data is stored in one location, streamlining the querying and allowing for the identification and deletion of any personal data where needed or requested. PIAA data anonymization. Personal data can be pseudonymized to retain the meaning of conversations for statistical analysis and data insight. And that was everything I wanted to share today. If you want to explore the Teneo data tools on your own, please make sure to sign up for our Teneo developers site at teneo.ai. AI. If you have additional questions on Teneo, don't hesitate to post them on our community forums at community.teneo.ai. We will be more than happy to get you all the information you may need. And now it's time to answer some questions. Okay. I just turned on the camera, so I hope that's okay. I think you can't see the questions, but I'll just pick a couple of them maybe. Okay. One question is Teneo compliant with the GDPR and CCPA, which I think stands for California Consumer Privacy Act, if I'm not mistaken. So, well, the short answer is yes, we are fully compliant with both legislations. I know I mentioned it, but I didn't talk in detail about how we anonymize data. Teneo Inquire comes with a data anonymization toolkit, which includes a collection of algorithms and entity extractors. These will automatically detect personal identifiable information, like for instance social security number, phone numbers, card numbers, and they can either mask or anonymize that data. We also have strategies at dialogue level to maintain PIAA information throughout the active session, as that information may be relevant to solve the task that we have at hand, but then forget about that information when the session ends, so that it will never be stored in Inquire. Also, as per GDPR requirements, Teneo assistants will always understand user requests to remove their personal data, and this kicks like a backend process that will identify the user and remove all the sessions pertaining to them, all the sessions that are stored in Inquire. And well, I hope that answered the first question. Let me see. Let me try another one. Does Teneo reuse conversational data for AI training purposes, just like Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple do? No. As I said, with artificial solutions, enterprises own their entire conversational data. We don't use it, and we most certainly don't sell it to third parties like other companies may do. Okay, just maybe the last one. Is there a way to try the query language and Inquire APIs? Yes, yes, please. I totally recommend you go to teneo.ai. As I said, you can sign up, create your own Teneo Studio environment, and get started with your analytics API. There is, by the way, a whole new section on that Teneo.ai site that's dedicated to analyzing your bot, and that helps you familiarize sorry, with TQL. I think you can also create your own dashboard using Google Charts, if I'm not mistaken. So please, yeah, feel free to go to teneo.ai and get started with Teneo, the platform, and most specifically with Teneo data. And I think that should be all. Okay, thank you very much for your attendance. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Our marketing team will keep you updated on other upcoming webinars. And thank you and goodbye.